Hi everyone, welcome to the new session. In this session, I will be explaining about two topics. One is the settlement patterns, and another one is the drainage patterns. Now, before we jump into the topic directly, that is settlement pattern and drainage pattern, we should know what is settlement or drainage. Then only we will be able to understand settlement pattern and drainage pattern. So let's begin with settlements. So settlement is a group of dwellings in urban or rural areas. Nothing. Simply, settlement is a place where people live together, sometimes permanently or sometimes temporarily for a shorter period of time. Settlements are represented using certain conventional signs and symbols. Just like any other thing, settlements are also represented using conventional signs and symbols in a topographic map, and it consists of mainly a number of different types of buildings. Some of them are permanent huts or permanent buildings, then temporary huts, other buildings, some large buildings, maybe post office, police station, some other buildings. Then even worship centers and monuments are part of settlements. Or all these things help us together to identify settlement from a topographic map. And most importantly, all these things are shown using a red color. These are all human made features, and to represent all these, red color is used in a topographic map. Permanent hut, temporary hut, and buildings, these are all part of settlement. Permanent hut means a permanent house, a pakka house where people live for a long period of time, and temporary hut is a hut or a building which is constructed for short term stay. Then we can see other buildings also, like a post office or police station or bungalows or other buildings, which may be in different shapes and different sizes. So these are also seen in settlements. Then along with these kind of buildings, we can even see worship centers like church, mosque or temple or any other kind of worship centers, as well as other buildings, sometimes fort, sometimes some other buildings, even tombs, etc. can be seen in association with settlements. Now, settlements can be permanent and, as I said, can be temporary also. Other thing, in some places, settlements are very closely packed or thick settlements, and in some other places, it can be thin. And there are places where we don't even have settlements. All this depends upon the facilities available at a place. Facilities like slope of the land, climatic conditions, and availability of occupation and other things. Now, thickly settled areas can be found over very fertile plains or in the wide river valleys where we have all kind of favorable situation for doing agriculture activities. And thinly settled areas are found over the top of plateaus or in the forested areas or in the terraced mountain slopes and in poor areas, sorry, and in desert with poor vegetation. These are the areas where thinly settled areas are found, and settlements are absent in areas which is covered with marsh or swampy areas, then the forested areas or the steep mountain slopes and even the sandy deserts. All these areas are devoid of settlements. Now, if you look into this one particular map, so the yellow wash says that this is an agriculture area, and in the middle of the agriculture area we can see a number of buildings are clustered together. We have permanent huts here, then some large buildings are there, post office is there, police station is there, one temple is there. Then we can see a number of car tracks are coming into the settlement. So this kind of a settlement essentially is a rural settlement, a village settlement. And we don't see any contour line here. That means it's almost a plain area. There's not so much difference in the height. Here there is one spot height 263 and here it is 236, only about 30 meters difference. So it's a plain area, it's suitable for agriculture. So here buildings are all clustered together into one single point. So this is a settlement in rural areas. And same type of settlements can be seen in urban areas, but the difference is the size would be much more bigger and you will see more facilities. Number of buildings are more and the number of facilities are also more. There is a good network of roads here, not only roads, railways. Railway is not visible, I think, but we have other facilities, right? A number of buildings. Then we can read it out. Raj Bhavan is there, PTO, that is Post and Telegraph Office is there, then police station, then uh, lakes to supply water, right? So this is a large settlement, large urban settlement, and this settlement is located in Abu Hills in Rajasthan. And This is similar to rural settlement, but it varies in its features. Now if you look into this one, uh, in the yellow wash area, that means in the plain areas where agriculture is practiced, we can see the settlements are scattered here and there. They are not close to each other, just like the previous one we have seen in case of a rural settlement. So this can be said to be an area where it is thinly settled, or the settlements are comparatively less in number, buildings are less in number. And if you look into the northern part as well as in the eastern part of the map, northeastern part of the map, this is slopey area, steep mountain slope. We can identify it from the closely spaced contours. Not only that, it is under green color, that means area under forest, and it is given here too. So in this area, we don't see any settlements. So settlements are absent in this areas. And if you look into this one part of the map, you can see two temporary settlements, that too located in the middle of the forest. So it can be two temporary settlements uh, used by the locals for some local activities which we don't know. Now coming to the main topic, a settlement pattern. Settlement pattern is nothing but when we look into the topographic map, we are actually looking into a place from the bird's eye view. That is, we are seeing it from a very high elevation, like we are just like looking at a city from the top, or looking at a village from the top. So when we look at the map, these settlements gives us some pattern based on their arrangements. Sometimes you can see the settlements are located close to each other. Sometimes it can be far away from each other. Sometimes it can be in a straight line. So it gives different patterns, and this pattern will help us to uh, study some, help us to get some information about that one particular area. Say for example, if the settlements are coming very close to each other and the surrounding areas are in yellow wash, that means we can assume that is a agriculture area. Then if the settlements are if in a settlement buildings are located far from each other, then we can assume that it is not suitable for living all over that area, that it can be a slopey area or it can be a forested area. So by studying the settlement pattern, we can study about that particular location. Therefore settlement pattern is important, and we have three type of settlement pattern, namely nucleated settlement pattern, linear pattern, as well as the scattered settlement pattern. And if you look at this map, let's take the first one that we see exactly in the middle of the map. So in this settlement, you can see there are so many buildings here. Permanent huts are there, some large buildings are there, post office is there, then temples, right, two temples are there, dispensary is there. So many facilities are available at one particular point. Not only that, there's a permanent road, then one metal road also passing through this. So here all the buildings came to this one particular point because all the facilities are available here for people to settle down. So this has formed one rural settlement. And if you look into this one, again the situation is same. uh, you can see the buildings are located very close to each other. There are some common facilities like post office, police station, then temple. Not only that, it is written here annual fair in March. That means every year during the month of March, the fair takes place here. So that means this is a marketplace. So here this settlement came around a marketplace. And if you look into this one here in the southeastern part of the map, settlements are seen very close to this water body. So because of the availability of the water, buildings clustered in an area. So these kind of a settlement where buildings are clustered at one center point. It can be a marketplace, it can be a police station, it can be a water body, it can be any other feature. Then this kind of a settlement pattern is called as clustered settlement pattern or nucleated settlement patterns. All of the settlement pattern in this one particular map is actually nucleated. If you look into this one, here also you can see settlements are clustered around a temple. Here also settlements are clustered around this one particular point. Some large factory or something is there, then temple is there. So the buildings are clustered here. And in the south also we have another settlement. Here also all the buildings are clustered at one point. Then this one. So these are called as clustered or nucleated settlement pattern. Moving on to the next, we have another map, and here it's mostly forested area, and in the middle we have some areas in yellow wash, that means the agriculture area. And if you see, there is a canal in the middle running from north to south, and it is ending almost here at this point. And let's take the example of these two settlements. If you look into this one settlement which is in the south, what we actually can see is we have a canal running here, right, which supplies water, and there is a transport route. Actually this is a car track, so there is a canal and a car track running parallel to each other, and on either side of these facilities we have these settlements arranged in a straight line. And if you look into the other one also, we have similar situation. We have a transport route in the middle. It's a metal road under construction, and on either side of this metal road we have permanent buildings, and there is one temple also. So this kind of a settlement pattern where buildings are arranged in a straight line along a railway or a road or a water body or any other such facility is called as a linear settlement pattern. And in this one, if you look into the southern part of the map, we can see the buildings are scattered here and there. They are far away from each other. They don't show any pattern. They are neither nucleated or nor linear just like in the previous one. So the reason is, here if you look into the topographical condition, this actually is sloping area, right? These are hilly areas on the north, and slowly height is decreasing towards the south. So that may be one reason, right? Not only that, here buildings are far away from each other, and everywhere you can see a number of permanent perennial wells too. That means facilities are available in their own places, so they don't need to cluster at one point. So they are scattered and they are located far away from each other. And if you look into this part of the map also, in the eastern part of the map also, situation is same. Buildings are located far away from each other. They are scattered, and this kind of a settlement pattern is called as a scattered settlement pattern or a dispersed settlement pattern. Now we have the next topic, drainage pattern. So in order to understand what drainage pattern is, first we have to understand what is drainage and drainage basin. So drainage basin is a large area which is served by one entire river system. There will be a main river in the middle and its tributaries. So the entire area which is served by this river system is called as a drainage basin. If you look into this one particular example, we have this main stream here in the middle, and there are a number of tributaries joining the main stream. These streams obtains water from the upper areas. These areas are called as the catchment areas, and it flows downward, and it's on its way it supplies the water to the nearby areas, and finally it empties into another water body. So this entire basin is called as a drainage basin, and this system is called as a drainage system. Now when we look into this drainage system on a map, we are again looking from the top, that is bird's eye view, and it will give certain patterns. So drainage system also forms certain patterns, just like in this one. It looks like a tree without leaves or the branching of a trees. So just like in the settlement pattern also, by looking in the drainage pattern we can understand a lot of things about a particular area. So this, because of this one particular reason, studying the pattern of the drainage basin is also important. And we have so many drainage patterns, and different drainage patterns gives some idea about the area. Say for example, if you take the first one, in this drainage pattern it looks like a tree with branches. So these kind of drainage patterns are seen where the rock is comparatively softer and erosion is active. And this, if you take into the second one, this pattern is usually seen where we have presence of alternative hard and soft rock. So different drainage pattern can give ideas about the geology of an area. Not only the geology of the area, along with the drainage pattern and their color, we can study about their climatic conditions, and from that we can infer the occupation of the people living in those areas. So it helps us to get a lot of information about a particular place. Therefore drainage pattern is important. And here in this year you have at least 7 different major drainage patterns to study. There are so many different types of patterns, but you need to study only about these major drainage patterns, and this includes dendritic pattern, trellis pattern, radial, inland, disappearing, intermittent, and resurgent pattern. Let's begin. First one is the dendritic pattern. In this pattern, this pattern looks like a tree with branches, and this pattern says that the area where the drainage system is flowing has soft surface rocks where erosion is comparatively more, and these areas are suitable for agriculture. And this is how it looks like. A dendritic drainage pattern looks like this, and on ground it will be like this. On a map it will look like this. It's very commonly seen in the maps which you are using. So it looks like a branching tree. So this pattern is called as dendritic drainage pattern. And second one is called as the trellis pattern or the trellised pattern. This shows the presence of limestone rocks and it indicates the unsuitability for agriculture in a particular place. And in this one particular pattern, the pattern is like this. The main stream is flowing in one direction and the tributaries join the main stream almost at right angle. So here we have the main stream flowing and the tributaries are joining at 90-degree angle. Now these areas are easily erodible because this area have soft rocks and the hard rocks or the resistant rocks are remaining. So that is the main reason why trellised pattern is forming. Now this is how a trellis pattern looks like. So main stream is flowing here in that direction and the tributaries are joining at 90-degree angle, almost 90-degree angle. Right, on maps it look like this. In this one's case, the stream is flowing from northeast to southwest, right, this way, and the tributaries are joining it almost at 90-degree. And here if you look into the contours, you can see on both sides there are hilly areas. Here we have a chain of hills. Also in this side also we have a chain of hills. That means stream is flowing through the center and from both sides streams are coming and joining the main stream almost at 90-degree angle. Same is the situation here. The stream is flowing through a valley and the tributaries are joining from both sides. And there is another one. So this is called as trellis drainage pattern. Third one is a radial drainage pattern, wherein streams flow from a highland towards the outside in all 360 directions. Right, it is like this. And this is usually seen in conical hills or sometimes volcanic mounds, right? So after the formation of once the volcano dies or the activity completely ends, it will start storing water if there is a crater especially, and from the crater water will start going out through springs and it act as a source of rivers, and number of rivers start originating from the top of the hill. Then it will start blowing in different directions and it will give rise to this kind of a pattern, and this pattern is called as the radial pattern. And we don't need a volcanic mount every time to find out radial pattern. It's very commonly seen in your topographic map. So here we have a hilly area in the middle, right? The maximum height is 413 here, it is given there, and the surroundings you can see these are all area under cultivation, right? And streams are flowing originating from the top of the mountain, right? All these are dry seasonal streams and they are flowing in all different directions. So this one particular pattern formed by streams by flowing into different directions from one particular point, usually a hill, is called as a radial pattern. Next one is inland drainage pattern. Inland drainage pattern means a drainage pattern where an inland stream ends in an inland water body. Usually most of the rivers ends in large lakes or oceans, but in this one particular case these are comparatively very short streams. So these streams are very short in length and they flows for comparatively shorter distance and ends at an inland water bodies. Usually these water bodies are very small in size. So this kind of pattern is mainly found in areas where temperature is very high and the climatic condition is comparatively drier. And if you look into this one particular map, we can see the feathery features in brown color. That means the sand dunes that indicate the presence of desert areas. So here if you look into this one particular stream, so we have a small stream flowing from southeast to northwest and it ends in a small lake. So this is one example of inland water body. And if you observe closely, you can see some unidentified trees here. That means it's a small lake with some greenery around it, just like an oasis. So here what is happening is a small stream is flowing from higher elevation and it ends here in the lake, and this is given in black color. That means this is essentially a seasonal stream which will have water only during the rainy season, that too for a very short period of time. So this kind of a drainage pattern is called as inland drainage pattern. We have another example here. Again, the lake is located here and you can see a number of trees are there around it, there is another lake here. So this entire area is looking like a greenery, a small patch of greenery with lake in the middle, and there are two streams flowing into the lake and emptying into the lake. This is also a seasonal stream. So this is another one example of inland drainage pattern. There is another example here. Here also the situation is same. The stream is flowing into the lake and it is ending here, and here also you can see some greenery around the lake. So this kind of a pattern is called as inland drainage pattern. Next one is disappearing pattern. From the name itself we will get an idea. Disappearing pattern, that means streams are disappearing. So what actually happening is the streams disappears before it reach another water body. So in the previous one we have seen that stream, though it is not going to a large lake or a sea, it is reaching some water body, but in this case streams won't reach another water body. On their way itself they disappear, and it indicates that this is more or less a desert type of topography where infiltration rate is more, as well as the rate of evaporation is also more. So rainfall is very less in those area. Streams get only water during the rainy season. Infiltration rate is more and more water is going directly into the underground, and at the same time, because of the high temperature, excessive evaporation is there, so loss of water is happening in that way also. So streams, after flowing for few kilometers, disappears automatically. So these kind of streams are called as disappearing streams. And if you look into this streams, this set of streams originating from this particular hill, they're flowing in this direction, but by the time they reach here, almost all of them are disappearing. The thing is, first of all, it is located in this part of the country, that is Gujarat and Rajasthan area, where rainfall is comparatively very less. So very short duration of rainfall is there, so they receive very less amount of rainfall. They don't have sufficient water so that it can reach another water body. On their way, infiltration takes place, huge amount of water goes into the ground because soil is sandy in nature, evaporation is excessive, so they disappears before they reach another water body. So these kind of streams, or the pattern of streams, are called as disappearing pattern of streams. And the next one is intermittent pattern. Here what happens is the situation is almost same as the previous one, but with a slight difference. Here streams dries up and flows through the underground for a certain time. Then again, sometimes it may come up and it may go down. So there is an intermittent state of river. Sometimes it flows on the surface, sometimes it goes down. So it appears and reappears. So this kind of drainage pattern is called as intermittent drainage pattern. It indicates that the area is comparatively drier and it is close to the desert areas. So this kind of pattern is shown using this one particular symbol, where dotted lines are used for showing rivers. Right, river is flowing again from the top of the hill, flowing downward. Right, so on this way, what happening is you can see some greenery. So this is the slope of the mountain with some greenery. So in this vegetative patch, the river appears and disappears a number of times, and finally it emerges here, but eventually it is disappearing. So this kind of a stream which appears and reappears is called as intermittent drainage pattern. Here also we have another intermittent drainage pattern. We can see it here, here, here. So this kind of one particular pattern is called as intermittent drainage pattern. Then there is another one, resurgent streams or resurgent drainage pattern, which is almost similar to the previous one, that is intermittent. So in case of intermittent, it is going and disappearing at the end, but here in case of resurgent, initially river is disappearing like intermittent, but after reaching certain kilometers, it again reappears and flows as a normal stream. So these kind of streams are called as resurgent streams, and the pattern is called as resurgent stream pattern. It also indicates that the area is comparatively drier and has only seasonal rainfall. If you look into this one particular map, say for example we have one particular stream here. Stream is starting from the hill, it flows downward and it disappears here. Then it shows the character of intermittent stream, and again it is appearing at this point of time. So from there it flows as a normal river. So this kind of river which disappears first, act as an intermittent stream, then again reappearing, is called as a resurgent stream. Here we have another example. Two examples are there. Right, streams are flowing, and here we have some vegetated cover. That means through this vegetated area, the river is acting like a resurgent stream, probably because of the presence of vegetation water is flowing through the underground, and when it is over, once the vegetation area is covered, it is reappearing again. So this kind of one particular pattern is called as a resurgent stream pattern. We have so many examples here. So this pattern is called as a resurgent stream pattern. Now the next one is not as a particular pattern to study, but this is also there in the syllabus. It is the braided river and inland island. So braided river or braided stream means stream that is splitting into more than one channel. So if you see this, the main stream is splitting into two, and in the middle it gives rise to the formation of an island. So this is called as an inland island. This stream is called as a braided stream because one single stream, which was earlier, which is flowing as a single stream, is splitting into two. So this is called as braided channel or braided river. If you look into the other part of the map, we have again same situation. Stream is coming from the north direction, right? But after reaching this one particular point, it is splitting into more number of branches. Like here we have three branches. So there is a large inland island here, a small inland island here. So this is called as the braiding of the river or the braided stream or the braided channel, and the island formed inside the river is called as an inland island, or also called as a riverine island. And this is how it looked like in a photograph. So here the stream is coming from this side, right? Then after reaching here, it is splitting into a number of braided channels, and there are a number of inland islands created in between, and at the end it is flowing outwards. So this is called as the braiding of the river, or this channel is called as a braided channel, and the islands are riverine islands or inland islands. Sometimes they are very complex like this, and this is very commonly seen in many of the rivers like the Brahmaputra river in India. So every year after flood, the shape of the island changes, the braiding again changes. So that happens. But in our case, we are safe that we have only the areas of Rajasthan and Gujarat study. So we don't have much complex braiding. So we have this kind of simple braiding that we can easily identify from the map itself. Another topic associated with this one is meandering of river and the meander. We have studied this in the lower classes, the same thing. Meandering is nothing but the bending of the river. We know that a river initially flows in a straight line, almost straight line, and slowly it changes into meander. So these loops are called as meander, and the process is called as meandering, and later on sometimes the loop will get separated and that will become oxbow lake. So this is the stages of the formation of meander. Initially bending happens slightly, then it becomes much more wider, and later it get into a complex meandering. And this is how meandering happens because of the variation in the erosion and deposition. The river bends and finally changes into meander and oxbow lake. So at the end it takes again thousands of years of time. So river will have a lot of bends here and there. So these bendings are called as meander, and sometimes we can see separate lakes, loops that got separated from the main stream called as oxbow lakes. Now this is how a meander look like, a river with a lot of meandering. So here you can see the meanders as well as oxbow lake. And when it comes to map, we can see some meanders in this area also, though they are not so big, but we can see the meandering characteristics like this, right? So this map is actually prepared back in 1960s, and the present Google map image of this place looks like this, right? So that's about meander. Now to conclude, we'll have two questions from what we have discussed so far. So first one, look at this map, study the map carefully, right? And the question is this one: name the drainage pattern and the settlement pattern that you see in grid square 1013. So pause this video for a minute, note down the question as well as write the answer, right? So once you finish, move on to the next one. We have another one question, right? Again, study the map carefully, and the question is this one: identify the drainage pattern and the settlement pattern in grid square 1522, right? Same again, do the same process, pause the video, observe the grid square, find out the drainage pattern as well as the settlement pattern. If you have any doubt in the settlement pattern or the drainage pattern, feel free to go back and see the video again. Thank you.